Guys, welcome back to the channel, and today is going to be another DIY RV install. So what am I installing today? Okay, so I'm going to be installing the Tornado rotary black tank flushing system. Now, I've been looking at these for a while, different types, different manufacturers, and I just decided on doing this because anything's better than nothing. I really needed one of these to make it a little bit easier to flush the tanks. What am I going to be using today? Well, so far, since I haven't opened up the package yet, which I'm going to do that with you, I got my ratchet Phillips head screwdriver. I have some Loctite 5-minute epoxy, and I'm going to be doing something a little bit different than what this packaging wants you to do. I have my right angle drill, which is going to be easy to get in tight spots, and I have my hole saw kit. And let's not forget my glass of Mountain Dew. That's a necessity to do this job. A couple more things I wanted to tell you that I have and that you're going to need is 100% silicone. You need that to seal the part that goes into the tank. And then I also got some 2-inch painter's tape for the outside of the RV. And I'll show you what that's all about. But let's go ahead and get started. We'll open this up and see what comes in the package. Alright, so what's in the box? Okay, so basically what came in the box is the hose kit that runs to the outside. It has a little, already a bracket right there, so you can install it on the outside of the RV, which I'm not going to do. And then of course it comes with the hardware, hose clamp, looks like it's in there, and the other end, which attaches to the Tornado part that goes inside your tank. It comes also with the spacer, and this is called a vacuum breaker. So that's all comes in the packaging. Before we get started, I just wanted to go over a couple things with you. Number one, I would definitely get up underneath your coach before you buy something like this and make sure that it's accessible, that you have a spot picked out that maybe it'll work fine for you. On mine, it says in the instructions here that you need to be in a centralized location, and it's best to be on the opposite side of where the discharge is. For me, I'm not going to be able to get to that point. It may be the same for you, but for me, I'm not going to be able to get to the opposite side. I'm going to have to put it close to the center of the tank on the driver's side, and that's also the side where my sensors are. So it's going to wash my sensors down, it's going to flush the tank. I think it's going to do fine in that location, but I would highly recommend just looking it over before you do it. Get a plan, and then you can execute it. As far as the product, I just wanted to let you know that I bought my own. I'm not being sponsored or anything like that, and I will give you an honest review after time goes on to see how I like it in the long run. Also, before you get started doing this, you have to obviously empty your black tank. I would wash it out, thoroughly rinse it down before you get involved with it. Just make sure it's empty. Also, I wanted to tell you that it has a template on the back of the box that you're going to be needing. It says that it needs to be 2 inches from the top, 1 3/4 inch hole saw. Alright, so I'm going to just basically cut that out, and I'm going to place it on the tank where I need it, and we're going to get started on it. Okay, I'm going to go over these instructions real slow for you guys. You could stop it and read it if you like, but it just says measure down 2 inches from the top of the tank with the template provided. Also, you're going to need an inch or a 1/8 drill bit, and that's going to be for the screws. And then, of course, your 1 3/4 inch hole saw. Remove any dirt, grease, moisture, and so on. Okay, so I'm sure you can download that. This is the parts that come in the box with the necessary hardware. And also I'm going to show you right over here the location of where they say you should put it. And they do have it on the central location opposite of where the discharge is. So I got it hooked up to the hose. Let's see what it can do. I think that's pretty darn good. And I've seen some online where it wasn't spinning, but I think that spins really good. I'm satisfied. Let's go ahead and get it installed. So these are the typical problems that you might have when you're doing a DIY video. It definitely takes longer to do it because you run into little obstacles, and I want to show you exactly everything that goes on when I'm in the process of doing this. Right now we're on the passenger side of the RV. There is the black tank 3-inch pipe running to the driver's side, and right over here is the gate valve on the passenger side, and then here is the black tank. Now I could get on this side, but it says do the opposite side central of the discharge area, which is right here, which that would be not good to put it there. And then I thought, when I first started the video, of putting it right over here somewhere, 2 inches below the top of the tank is where that template goes. And I figured, oh, to rinse down the sensors really good. I could maybe put it maybe over here. It's going to be more centralized. But now that I look and I'm over here, if I could show you, give you an idea, right there's the back tire. If you could see that. So hard with camera angles, but if I go up like this, you'll see I got my drill up there just sitting. Now I can get to this side too. It's a little bit tight, but that would be the best place to put it. I talked to a Camco guy that used to build RVs, and the only thing I was worried about is on this side, is right behind here is where the toilet inlet comes in, and I was worried about maybe hitting that because I wasn't sure how far it went down. But what he told me is it only comes down like an inch into the tank. If that's the case, that's why the template says to put that 2 inches below tank height. So now that I know that, and I know that I'm going to be safe, I'm going to be in the perfect position to put it exactly where the instructions say, which is actually awesome. Now let me tell you a little problem that I do have, and as you can see, that is not my right angle drill. So I got to be real careful about how I'm going to drill back here. You only get one shot of it, and the problem is my hole saw bit right here will not fit in my 90-degree angle drill. So just to let you guys know, keep that in mind. Maybe you got a different fitting than I do, but you need an 1 3/4 inch hole saw. So if you could get a smaller bit, or if you have that tool to use your 90-degree drill, I would highly recommend it. So I'm going to try my best. I got it wedged between the tire here, and I'm going to try my best to go ahead and put the template in. And I think when I do the measurement, I think this comes out to like 2 inches to the top of the tank right here. So I'll probably have to just put the template right up against this on the bottom and just take a measurement from side to side, clean that off real good because it's right behind the tire. It gets a little dirty, wipe it down, and then put the template on and see where we are from there. But I'm going to try my darn best. It's really tight. Alright, so I'm going to get a rag with some mineral spirits on it. I'm going to wipe the tank down just to make sure everything's cleaned off of it, and then I'll go ahead and put the template on it. That is almost 3 inches from the top. So we're gonna have no choice but to install it right here, as close as I can. It's 2 inches about right here, so Actually, right where that mark is. So I'm just going to basically prep and you can see put some silicone on the back. They said put a bunch of it on. You don't want to get it in any of these holes or anything, but right there on the end where the screws go in, we're going to put some 100% silicone on that. Before we do that though, we'll wipe that down. Alright, that's how much silicone I put on it. Let's go ahead and see if we can line up the screws while we're at it. One. So we're going to let that dry, come back and do all the fittings and the hoses and stuff like that. Because what I might want to do is, since I relocated this to this section, I don't know if I'll have enough hose to reach to the other side. So I might do something a little bit different here. Maybe put a little bit of this silicone on top here. Won't hurt. So we're going to basically just go ahead and let that dry. I didn't feel like it was a big deal to put silicone over the screws. Maybe some of you guys would do that, maybe not, and come back and then we'll do the connections. Right, it's the next day and I just wanted to let it dry overnight. Looks good. Doesn't look like there's any problems. It's pretty secure in there. What I was going to do is this is the hose that come with the kit, and this is not near long enough to get to the other side of my coach. So I'm going to disregard all that and I'm going to go with my, it's a Camco hose. It's an extra one that I had, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the end off this and I'm going to put on a fitting with a clamp, and I'm going to drill a hole through the side of the RV. I got plenty of hose, so I'm going to basically route it right over the frame of the RV. But let me go to the other side and show you what my plan is with this epoxy. So we're on the other side of the RV and I got some fittings here with some Teflon tape. I bought one of these with an adapter. This is a 1/2 inch fitting on the end of this, so I wanted to go from 1/2 inch to 3/4. And I'm thinking about putting it about right here, somewhere in there. And the reason why I'm doing that, if I come any further this way, it gets into my luggage area and it drops down. What I want to do is I want to bring it, I know it's I'd say about right there, and drill a hole through here, and I'm going to epoxy that up really well in there so I don't get any water damage with the 5-minute epoxy that I have. But if you look under, right there's my valve, and I can run it probably right up over the frame, and it's a straight shot over there. And then of course I'm going to have to loop it around to the front of the black tank over there. But I think it's a straight shot from here, and I think it'll work out good. The only concern that I have is hopefully that this is long enough to get through here. I think I'm going to have enough, but we'll see. We're just going to have to play it by ear. I think I have a 1.5 inch hole saw. So let's get into drilling and make it a lot easier to hook up a hose to it instead of down below here with that clamp that they had. I'm going to go ahead and start drilling there where I want, and epoxy, and then I can go ahead and cut the hose to length and run it. Okay, so it's always scary to drill into your coach. You just want to double check exactly where you want it. I don't have to use a template or nothing like that, because as long as it's in the general area where I want it, I'm not going to worry about it too much. So I'm going to start. Now I'm going to run it backwards a little bit, just to start to get into the fiberglass so I don't have to worry about cracking it. Now I'm going to put it in the right direction here. Always curious about what's in here, so I'm going to pull this apart real quick and see how that is put together. Wow, that's really thick. Alright, so here's the core right there. So you got your fiberglass. I don't know what that is. That's just looks like fiberglass foam, and then it's got like a little piece of wood, real thin, on the back side there. Jeez. But that's it. It's pretty thick though, as far as the core goes. That's what's inside the wall, right there. So we're gonna clean this up. Oh, that's nice. No cracks. Beautiful. That's gonna be nice. That's the way I wanted to do it. It looks nice. It looks like it goes with the coach. It's perfect. But I'm gonna tape it up first so it doesn't get on my fiberglass here. And then I'll start mixing up the epoxy. Okay, I'm gonna put some Teflon on real quick. Want to do this with all your fittings. You do not want any kind of leaks. All right, so I got the Teflon on. Put my connection. We're gonna tighten that up pretty good and then move on to the next part. All right, so that's basically how it's going to be hooked up behind there, just with the regular hose. And let me see if I can dry fit it first, and then I'll start the epoxy. So I taped it all up. You do not want this on your fiberglass, this epoxy. It will damage it. So go ahead and tape it up really well. I'm going to clean this hole out a little bit better than that, and I'm going to epoxy all that on the inside so it does some penetration, and hopefully seal that good enough to where I don't have any water damage on the back side. Let's get mixing the epoxy. As you can see, that's all epoxied in there. I'm going to clean it up after it hardens. But it looks like it's going to be a good, if you could see that, a good seal. Also, when I go to put this on, I think I'm going to silicone the back of this along with I'm going to pre-drill and put some silicone inside the screw holes and then mount this in. It's going to be all siliconed around the back outside here, just so I got a good seal there and I won't have to worry about it, because this don't come with a gasket. All right, I gotta say that turned out pretty good. Nice and solid, smooth. I don't think anything's getting into that. So I think we're ready to continue. Here's the finished product on the outside. It's all silicone from behind. I siliconed the holes, I pre-drilled and screwed it in. So there's my new flush for the black tank. So let's go ahead and hook up the other side. I already ran the hose on that side, but I still have to cut it and make a connection. Let me show you underneath real quick. Right there is the preventer. That's to make sure that that's sort of like a check valve right there. And I'm going to go ahead and I might run some silicone in there too, because even though that's all epoxied up, I'm probably still going to go ahead and silicone around that and make sure that I have no problems there. Had to make it a little bit bigger in the backside because that preventer was a little bit bigger. There's my hose. It's basically running right up over the frame and continued over the top of the frame, heading towards the other side where it's dropping down, and I got to cut that to size and attach it to the other side. So after that I might go back and just tie wrap it. I don't think it needs it, but just to secure it, I'm going to go ahead and tie wrap it down to a couple areas just to make sure nothing happens to it. But overall, I've seen how it worked on the outside of the RV. If it works as good on the inside, I'll be happy. So let's get to the other side, cut the hose to length, and I think I like that hose a lot better than the supplied. They got to do something about that, because I'm thinking most RVs need that distance. It's not long enough for this RV. So if you got similar and your tank's on the other side, I don't think it's gonna do you justice. So let's get on the other side, wrap her up, and it'll be another DIY down. So I'm just gonna tie wrap it up now, away from anything it can cut it or have it hang down. If I had the chance to do it again, I don't know if I'd put it in that location. And I gotta tell you the pros and cons of it. I could have left it as is. I'm thinking that if I had a chance to do it again, I think I would run it direct, coming from the other side into where I wanted to do it in the beginning, around the sensors. And the only reason I say that is, right behind me is my dually, my tires, and that's pretty much wide open right there. I could probably get some sort of flap or something like that, like most tires have, and maybe hang them. See, there's how close my tire is. It's not really that bad to where the hose is, because there's other wires and stuff like that. But you guys know, if you ever had a flat tire or a blowout, these can make some serious damage to the coach. And I haven't had that, thankfully, but I've had coaches in the past that did it. And even with trailers, you've seen how the sides of the fenders and everything else can tear it up. So I'm thinking maybe you guys can leave in the comments if you think I should maybe put something right there to protect that. That is the spot, though, Camco says to put it. If you could get it in that location, that's the best location, because it's going to rinse down everything through the discharge. But I'm really thinking about the tires, and I'm thinking about if I have any problems that might cause a problem in ripping that out, creating me more problems, hopefully not crack or damage the black tank in the process. Just wanted to test it. Listen, hear it in there rotating. Sounds good, no leaks. Perfect. Alright guys, good morning. This is just a year update after installation. We wanted to include this in the video, and I'm happy to report after several trips, no issues. It works flawlessly. I'm actually so happy I installed it, and it was worth every penny to do it. It was worth the time to do it, and I wouldn't change anything. It cleans the tank perfectly for me. So far so good. We'll keep you informed if anything changes. So that's going to do it for this DIY install. I had fun doing it. I think it turned out pretty darn good. It's going to definitely help me rinse my tanks instead of trying to run a hose through here and trying to keep it clean and try to keep all that nasty stuff out of the RV. I hope this helped you guys, and if you have any comments or if you have any suggestions, that's why the comments are down there. We're all here to help one another, right? So hopefully we'll see you on the next one, and until then, you guys take care.